Yeah, welcome back to KM6LYW Radio, the show about amateur radio or ham radio, reimagining radio in the information age. Yeah, I got a new HT here. It's a big 10-watt HT from TID Radio. They sent it to me and said, hey, Craig, let us know what you think. So the new TID Radio H9, does it suck or rock? This time on KM6LYW Radio. Yeah, all right, welcome back. Free bumper music. So full disclosure here, TID Radio did send me this for an evaluation. I didn't buy it with my own money, but what attracted me to this was the fact that it was 10 watts. I think that really set it apart. For those of you who watch this channel, I think a lot of you know that I usually don't go for the SDR-based handheld radios, but every now and then I got to give them a shot. You know, they're making progress. Initially, like the UV5R was deaf. You know, they're all pretty cool, but a lot of them just have a fatal flaw, right? A lot of those SDR radios just keep snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. So let's check out the TID Radio H9 and see where we are at in the evolution of SDR-based radio. So I think I said it before, the most important thing, the thing that really differentiates this is it's 10 watts. That is a lot of power. So I actually put it on the meter here and I actually got 11 watts on VHF. So what does watts mean? So most HTs are 5 watts. So that's double the power, right? So that's going to give you 3 dB more gain. On an S meter, that's going to be about half an S unit. So you really, you got to do more than double the power to double your range. So it'll probably give you maybe 20% more range, but it'll double the area of the circle that you're transmitting in. So that's kind of how radio power works. The other thing I noticed immediately is this thing is indestructible. I don't know what it is about these SDR-based radios. The construction is amazing. You could probably run this over with your truck and it would be scratched up, of course, but I bet you it would still work. I really wish all manufacturers would adhere to this construction standard. Other things that I noticed, you know, this has some sort of APRS capability. We're going to talk about that into detail since this is a show about data modes, moving information back and forth with amateur radio. So these are getting better at APRS. Some radios actually include a Bluetooth TNC, which is cool. This radio has, just recently, it has APRS not only tracking, but also messaging. It's a little rudimentary, but let's check that out. That makes it more full-featured. I think a lot of people think APRS is just about positioning because a lot of radios, that's all they implement is APRS positioning, nothing more. But messaging is really what APRS is about, at least to me. And they've got rudimentary APRS texting capabilities. There's an app for this. It's called ODMaster. At least for Android, we'll take a look at that as well. So let's dig into the TID Radio H9. And here we are, we got the TID Radio H9. We've got a DigiPi hooked up to it with an AIOC cable, so we're getting audio push to talk and ground through that. We've also got an app over here. This is ODMaster. It's the app they recommend for use with this radio. It does operate the radio over Bluetooth, providing programming and configuration. And right now we're actually seeing the built-in TNC or APRS decoding packets as they come in on 144.39. Over here on the right, we've got the actual DigiPi. That is the web interface for this Raspberry Pi that's hooked up to the radio, and you can see it is in APRS TNC mode. We've got APRS web chat going here, and we've got a new mapping feature. Don't look for this on DigiPi just yet because it doesn't exist. This is a new feature coming soon. We're still testing it. And of course, we're seeing the packets being decoded by Direwolf. Now, this is kind of cool. It's a race, you know, to see if Direwolf can decode packets better through the audio interface, or if the built-in TNC, which we have over here on the left, can decode packets better or worse. I don't know. That would be cool to have a race. You know, maybe I'll do that for an hour or so. So speaking of the decode rates, I did let this run like I do for a lot of radios just to get an average count. It's not a scientific test, but here in California where I live, we get about 250 packets per hour of just infrastructure packets. I don't count messaging and things like that. So usually most radios are right on par with that. Unfortunately, I couldn't do that, get that with this. I was just getting over about 120, 130 packets decoded with Direwolf, and this is probably the best decoder there is. So I suspect there's maybe an emphasis issue. You know, you can't get an HT with a discriminator tap, right? Or possibly maybe a battery saver feature. That battery saver is disabled, but if there's any kind of battery saving and it's not 100% duty cycle, it might clip the beginning of each packet. So unfortunately, I couldn't get a really solid receive with this. It's kind of cool. You can see the APRS packets coming in on the app and the screen and on Direwolf. I'm going to go ahead and watch this video later and see if they're one-to-one, if the radio is decoding packets just as well. Actually, I think Direwolf just got one there. I think it did. I think Direwolf got a packet that the internal receiver did not on the TID. So let's take a look at the menus here. We've got radio settings, program channels. This is where you're going to hang out most of the time. I'm not going to talk about the voice features of this. They're good. They're just fine. What I would like to look at is the SMS section here. If you click on that, you can turn SMS on or off. It doesn't really say what SMS is. They have like a proprietary SMS mode, and then they also, if you look down here, you can change it into SMS mode. Now, I think this is new. SMS mode can either be RF or APRS. So if I send something on RF, it's a weird modulation that I've not really heard before. But if I leave it on APRS, it's a 1200 baud APRS. So we're actually sending and receiving APRS under the SMS menu here. We can go into send an SMS, and we can say recipient. You just click anything and it goes into edit mode. All radios suck when it comes to entering data here. I couldn't figure out how to get capital letters on here. I can't do a space, and there's no @%. So if you use SMS texting through the SMS APRS relay by Michael Phelps, you can't use an alias. So I can do KM and then the shift for numbers. I'm figuring it out. 6. Oh man, this is tough. And I'm going to say get back into number mode here. KM6LYW, and you wait a second, and then W, and then I'm going to say OK. And then I can go down here to test, or to the content of the message. Brutal, right? That's why we have apps for this. TEEQQRST. There we go. Got it. Now I'm going to send an APRS message to KM6LYW with the content of test, and I'm going to do that with more, and I'm going to click send. And I don't know if this HT is going to get it or not. Last time it didn't, so let's click send right now. It's sent, and it says sent okay, but this didn't light up, and I think that's because if we look over here on this, it was in lowercase, and I'm just guessing that's the case. I'm looking for the transmitted packet. I don't know. It's got to be here somewhere. But my radio didn't pick it up for some reason, so I'm really not sure why. The beaconing stuff works really well, but this is the texting stuff. We want to move information back and forth with this. So this is SMS built in. I think that's a new feature. I still think that it's going to need some work. This is just the rest of the menu stuff. We can go into APRS here, and we can turn on. This is for the beaconing part. Okay, this isn't for messaging. So this is for beaconing on and off, and we can do a beacon set. Actually, it's going to reject it until I turn it on. It also has a really cool voice when you're going through the menus. The voice is really clear. It's a little more neutral accent when it comes to English, I suppose. So all the beaconing stuff, this all works really well. Here's my call sign. SSID, your symbol. Beaconing works exactly like you would expect. I'm just going to go through the menu so you can see it here. So beaconing is great. Messaging, not so much, which kind of brings us to the application itself here. It's called ODMaster. Let me go back to the beginning here. And this is kind of the, well, let's go over to status. No, it's got like social media built into it. I don't fully understand the app, and I'll tell you guys, I've only done this for about 3 hours. Okay, so I'm sure you guys are shouting at this saying, no, you missed something. I'm sure I did. So we can read stuff. So we're reading all of our stations right now. You can see that on the radio. And wait for it. It's got a whole bunch of memories too. They're not getting stingy there. It's got a fast processor. You can see the screen was responding quickly. Display looks great. Of course, on the camera here, it's really hard to tell. The display is very good. It is very good. So I can pick my APRS channel. I think it's down here at channel 99. There it is. And you can see how to program channels. Really easy. They really did a good job here. And of course, the function stuff here, configuration of the radio. You can configure these two keys on the side are totally configurable. Super cool. Great feature. I don't know. I'm going to scroll through all these. Now let's go back here over to the, not status. Maybe it's the me. Yeah, so if you want to do APRS stuff, you actually click on a link called APRS.fi, which is a website, but, well, there you go. Cool. It gives you a map. Super cool. I don't know if it's showing other stations here. It's hard for me to zoom in using this this interface. But, hey, there I am. It's telling me I'm receiving messages. Message list, this is where we switch over to the KISS interface. And that's the Bluetooth interface. And this is where we're just watching this go on here. Let's go back here. Here in APRS.fi. You can go to send message. Now you would think this is where you would send a text message to like to WXBot or something, and that doesn't seem to be the case. If it is, somebody let me know. I want to do Bluetooth transmit here. So I mean I can type stuff like, I can put my, I don't know, it's kind of overlaid here. Test. I'll just say test 3 times. Now I can send that beacon, and it's sent as me, but it didn't actually send, it sent it to this person, right? It sent it as a beacon, and it put test in the comment field, I think. So I still don't really know how to do APRS messaging with this, either with the app or the radio itself. It's really close though. Gosh, I think we're so close. This is the Bluetooth here. So this is the app. I'm sure you guys are familiar with other apps that work with these SDR-based radios. I don't know if this one's better or worse. I'm sure it's got a lot more that we can do here to get this app more functional. I wish it was more intuitive, I suppose. To me, it's not super duper intuitive, but it does the basics. So if you're for just programming the channels and stuff, it's fantastic. What I did notice is that this isn't working with Chirp just yet. I know a lot of you guys like Chirp, but programming channels here is exactly what you would expect. So big win with the app there, but I'm still disappointed, honestly, with the APRS or data capabilities, with the built-in radio, with the radio and the app itself, which kind of brings us over to DigiPi. If you hook a Raspberry Pi up to this using the AIOC cable, it really opens up the capabilities. Again, the receiver, for whatever reason, isn't as sensitive as I would like. Maybe it's the emphasis, maybe it's sensitivity, maybe it's getting descents. Some of these radios, initially, they had no front end filtering at all. So, if there's someone running a lawnmower, a mile away, you couldn't pick up anything on 2 meters, right? That's changed over time. So hopefully that's the case with this guy. We are in TNC and iGate mode. We've got the DigiPi map here. These are the stations all received by this radio. So the range is actually pretty good. So I don't think it's a sensitivity issue. I mean, I'm picking up stuff hundreds of miles away, real high level repeaters. This is a live animated map, so I think that's okay. The other thing is normally I disable the squelch on these rigs, and I'll come down here to program, and then there's a squelch here somewhere. See how much I've already lost it. I need more time with this squelch level. I set it to off during my test, when I let it run for an hour, but after a few minutes it just went mute. So I couldn't really conduct the test I would normally do because the squelch it goes mute after a while. So I had to put the squelch on level 1. So maybe that's why I am getting a lower packet count, because it takes a little extra power to open the squelch on these. So you're not going to get weak packets necessarily through Direwolf. So that would be something I would want to fix for sure, is to make sure that the squelch off works continuously and you constantly get audio. So let's switch over to the DigiPi portion of this. If you're not familiar with DigiPi, it's digipi.org to get the SD card image for your Raspberry Pi. That we're hooked up to the H9 here. Right now, using the web interface for the Raspberry Pi, we're in APRS TNC mode. We're in web chat mode, and I'm going to click on the web chat link here. And I'm going to do a new station. Let's say WX bot. There's lots of these virtual stations, but we're just going to mess with WX bot here. Let's see, we're wide. We can do a wider thing. I think one of the local digis is down. We'll see how this goes. 95614. And we're going to send that, and it's going to go out on the radio right now. There it goes. And we're going to wait for a thumbs up response. We got that, and then we should get the weather here in a second. Wait for it. We can actually see the app over here. This is the radio doing the decodes, and we can see the packet came through. And of course, 5 miles east of Auburn today, sunny, high of 87. So this works. The one thing I did notice is if you have the position beacon on this, for some reason, packets going out are chopped up for some reason. I don't know why. I haven't figured that out. So still a bit awkward, at least for me. Maybe you guys can help me with this radio. I got basic functionality here, but I kind of had to earn it. So it's just a bit awkward and a bit fragile in my opinion. The radio itself physically, no, it's solid. Yeah, but getting these data modes is still, I think we could still use a lot of polishing here. But we did get it to work. So while we're going over the sucks and rocks of the TID radio here, one of the rocks is this the price, 69 or 70 US dollars for this radio. That's a 10-watt radio for $70. Try and beat that. That's a good deal. I think we can still work on the data modes. The voice modes are okay. What I did notice, there was a little bit of a push to talk lag after I pressed the maybe it's a squelch tail eliminator. I don't know, but for a fast turnaround between receive and transmit. It's not fast enough like for AX.25, but probably okay for APRS activities. I noticed the transmit was a little loud. It was a little over deviating there. I don't know. I'm trying to find things that you guys might be interested in. So bottom line, 10 watts. That rocks. That's huge. That could replace your mobile unit. A lot of these professional or production digis out here are about 30 watts. So 10 watts, man, that's a pretty good station. Durability definitely rocks. I wish everyone could build radios this tough. The APRS and receiving capability. So not only the APRS texting interface, but also the receiver itself. I don't know if it's emphasis or battery saver or duty cycle. I'm going to give that a sucks. I'm sorry. I wish that was better. So this is constructive criticism. The application, there's other apps that use Bluetooth for other rigs. They all go in the sucks category. This one, I'm sorry. Maybe I just didn't spend enough time with it, but the application sucks, at least for what I wanted it to do. I just wanted to do very simple texting and positioning maybe for data modes, right? And then, of course, configuring the channels in the radio. The app has like a social media stream and stuff. I don't get it. I want to get it, but I don't. All right, so that was the app. Let's see. Programming the radio on the front panel. A lot of manufacturers overlook that. I'm going to give that a rocks. I programmed up the local repeater here on the radio. No problem. Worked really well. Hey, so that is the TID Radio H9. TID, thanks for sending that out to me. It's kind of fun messing with a new radio. You know how it is, like new radio day, checking all that out. And hey, let's thank the patrons here as well. They are, these people over here on the left are the people that make this channel ad-free. You notice there's no ads on here. I don't like ads any more than you guys. Plus, all the advertisers are socially reprehensible companies. Anyway, so I know I'm limiting my YouTube channel by saying that, but it needed to be said. So the patrons over here, they all get access to the DigiPi SD card image, which is the SD card that goes in this Raspberry Pi, which allows you to hook this Pi up, or this computer up to your radio, and it kind of turns your radio into a local website. And we saw that here, that we were using that here just today. These are all the different modes you can use. The new version of DigiPi is coming out pretty soon. The web chat you just saw, we got a new mapping facility that's animated, so you can actually see a real-time real-time tactical map. That's coming out in the next release of DigiPi, so stay tuned for that. Right now you can get DigiPi 2.0 right here, super stable, but we've got the beta out here that has that basic mapping and tactical map. So DigiPi, like I said, real easy. You don't need a Linux command line. It's really easy to set up. It gives you access to all these modes. We've got a big one, a little one. It does WSJTX. It does node services, bulletin board. There's a lot of cool radio interface hardware. In fact, this is an example from Masters Communications. Has a little screen to tell you what's going on. It's got a tracker built in. It does email, WSJTX, FLDigi, JS8 call. I think I got those in the right order. Now, these are all displaying on your phone, right? So there's no keyboard and monitor here because everyone already has a keyboard and monitor in their pocket. So all of these things run as if they are apps on your phone. Basically, any Wi-Fi enabled web browser. And of course, it works in the field as a hotspot too. Slow scan television, bulletin board. You can play Zork. I put some video games on there for you guys. All right. DigiPi.org is the place to go to get DigiPi and try this out with your radio. Let's try it out with the TID Radio H9. Let's get some feedback going on this. Let's get some cool powerhouse HTs. I still don't have a perfect HT, so I'm still looking for one, but my standards are pretty high. TID Radio, let's work on it. Let's get this going. Guys, my name is Craig, amateur radio call sign KM6LYW. I'm in California, and I'm clear.